Hi, Doug.
Hi, Natalie.
Nice to see you, as always.
Great. Yeah, and great to be here. Really, thanks for having me.
Yeah, well, really, thanks for taking the time. I know you're a busy guy. And before we get started, I think I'm just going to offer you an opportunity to tell people who you are and, what you want them to know about you.
I think what I'd like people to know is, first of all, I'm like an old guy. I'm like 66 years old,
That's
and as a coach, I'm on my third career. So I was in the fashion industry for 20 years, was unsatisfied, feeling I wasn't really satisfying my community need, my need to do something a little more meaningful. And I shifted and I went back to university. I had dropped out, went back in my late 30s. I went to complete my degree, my undergraduate degree. Actually, I had to start it from square one. Who am I kidding? It wasn't like completing, it was starting and finishing. And then I went on to get my master's of education and became an elementary school teacher. And through that experience, which was wonderful, I realized I didn't want to end my career that way. The best times was one on one with my families and with my students. And so I shifted into this opportunity, this coaching career of mine, which is going into its sixth year.
wow.
Natalie, we know each other 5 or 6 years. How about that?
Has it been 6 years already?
I
Wow.
think it's
I
very
remember,
close.
yeah, you were in our in-person workshops when we used to do that a while back.
Yeah, I was in person. It was a fantastic experience. I mean, look, like without a doubt, it was a life changing experience. And I've been loving it ever since.
Wow. So your work in education touches something that's close to my heart, which is the teacher as coach model. What do you see as an opportunity for coaching in education?
Well, that's a big reason why I came to you, frankly, is because I looked around at different opportunities, different organizations, different companies that were offering coaching. And I landed on you because of your passion and interest and empathy for youth and for teaching and for education. That's what really sealed the deal. I think that coaching in education or coaching in any realm, I think everybody should have a coach, but specifically what I do, I work with youth. I work from 10-year-olds right up through university. And it's about, you know, a sense of empowering others to feel in control of their path.
Mm, yeah.
And I really feel that for the most part, well, the clients that I see, yes, they are overwhelmed. Yes, they have difficulty with executive function skills around planning and organizing and so forth. But ultimately, it's about self concept and it's about them um, almost embracing, or identifying with their challenges as a reflection of who they are. And when you start identifying with your challenges, it brings you down.
Mm,
You default to a self-talk, to a narrative that is not self-serving. And what coaching does is it offers, a opportunity for others, for the client to consider where they're at and where they'd like to be. And you establish those goals, but the beauty of coaching model, is steps towards those goals.
mm,
And when a client can go home at night and go to sleep and think about their challenges, but be able to say, I'm working on it, I'm seeing my coach, I'm not there yet, but I'm doing something about it. I'm no longer, a victim.
right.
I'm taking action. And I think that's really the benefit of coaching, what it has to offer others.
Hmm. Wow. I really appreciate what you're saying because what I've noticed in my research, but also in working with teachers, we had a teacher as coach certification. We brought in 8 educators from across Canada to pilot this teacher as coach certification, and they surprised me at um, how how much they thought that the coach approach was actually different than what they were doing, and how the tools that I was offering them were actually tools that they could bring into the classroom and do with the kids. And we're talking elementary school here. And they were doing these practices with the kids, and the kids were embracing it and loving it. And I didn't see that far ahead when I was talking about teacher as coach. I was thinking about equipping, teachers with the skills of coaching, but I didn't think about the tools that we offer coaches to be, shared with students and do these activities,
Mm.
the 10 times mindset, like helping them with like adopting a growth mindset, challenging perspective, gratitude principles, focus, controlling what we focus on. And, like you said, the self-talk and that listening to our inner wisdom, but also learning to not identify or label ourselves with, our challenges. So all of what you're saying is really resonating. And I know that I don't think you've been teaching after, like, since the coaching certification, right? But you've been doing work one-on-one, you said, with kids and families. So what has coaching brought, do you think, to those kids and to those families?
I think, first of all, there's a sense of hope.
Mm-hmm.
I think that, to be totally, transparent, by the time my clients come to see me, they're in I'm like a last resort kind of an option. They've seen occupational therapists and speech pathologists and psychologists and tutors,
Wow.
and all of them have a role to play. When they come to see me, their options are limited because, like I said, they've exercised so many. And so I really feel what coaching offers like clients is, again, they leave me feeling a little more in control, and, as I said, a little more hopeful. Like they can see that there's a path that they can aspire to, a goal they can aspire to, a path that they can activate immediately.
So
Because, coaching is about incremental steps, right? It's about what can you do today to reach where you want to go eventually. But what is realistic? What is attainable? What can you do now? And I think that's very empowering.
yeah, well, that whole idea of the present moment being the most powerful moment you have, right? To enact something, whatever it is that you want to enact. What's the difference though between like the speech pathologist approach or the, occupational therapist approach and coaching? What do you think is different for the child? Because you say you're a last resort. Like, what does that mean?
Well, first of all, I guess the other approach is okay. Well, when we're talking about psychologists, we're talking about the why behind the place that they are, where they are. And that's not my lane. My lane isn't to figure out the why. I want to make their day a less annoying day.
Mm.
It's about their day. It's about where they are, no judgment. And that's a big difference. Speech pathology, occupational therapy, they can be a little more specialized in a specific skill set. Maybe it's like a social awareness, the dynamics of social interaction, and they can get very specific around those specific strategies that they can empower a client with. Whereas coaching, my approach and my I guess my option offers the client a more holistic approach to where they are at. and it's multifaceted. It's very multifaceted, as are their challenges.
Yeah.
So, the student that says, I hate school, that student doesn't hate school. That student is avoiding school because it represents a challenge. It represents danger. It represents fire. We don't run towards, like, fire. We're hot wired to avoid fight and flight. We leave. We avoid. It's a good idea to avoid fire. And that's where they're instinctively opting for. And I don't and of course they are, because they haven't considered strategies other than what they've been doing to cope with their challenges. And so what coaching offers is options.
Mm.
Our model offers options, not prescriptive, but options to try. And when they come back after a week and they say, you know, that option, I forgot to try the option. Forgot. So it's not about, what do you mean you forgot the option? You said you were going to try the option. It's more about, well, maybe that wasn't the right option for your brain. Or maybe we have to consider what's the prompt? What's the click that's going to remind you to try that option? Or do you want to try that option, or do you want to try something else?
Mm.
Where How are you feeling about this? Where are you at right now? What resonates with you? What's the right option for you? That's the beauty, by the way, of my job, is that it is not cookie cutter. Hey, I've got the answer here for your path. Got it. This is your challenge. Here's the strategy. Go. It's really such a nuanced, such a personal approach. And it's really the best part of the job, is finding, what's the best option for that particular person at that particular time.
Yeah, you're reminding me of when my son started kindergarten, he was on the younger side. And so he had to repeat kindergarten, and I started him in a French school. So I put him in an English school this time. And the teaching at the French school was really, I was not impressed. Like they were more, I don't know what it was. It was condescending, I think. And so then I brought him to this new school, and I kind of prepared the teacher for my son, who was just walking his own lane. He was a pacer. He would pace 6 steps back and forth, like rhythmically, and it was soothing for him. And he would do this while watching TV. He would do this at home before dinner. Like, it was always something he would do. We'd be in a store and he would be pacing next to me. So I said to her, and the other teacher didn't like that and forced him to sit down. So I said to her, he paces. I'm not sure how you're going to deal with that. And because I know she has a big group, right? 30 kids. So she said, let me figure this out. So the next week I come back to her and I see that, Jake's doing really well and he's adopting well. And I said, so how's it going with the pacing? She goes, it's great. We made a lane. I said, what do you mean? We created a lane at the back of the classroom, and he paces. Like, anytime he wants to get up, the deal is he's allowed to go as long as he doesn't make any noise. Like, he's just pacing, right? And he's
Yeah.
taking information and listening. So when you think about the individual path of each learner, and that, like, I appreciated her for recognizing his, individuality. And I think that coaching actually is an avenue to do that, to consider each person so that every child feels like they matter in that group. And it's not that you have, we have huge classes in public school, right? We have challenges with time. But the thing that I recognized today that I didn't really know before the research was that it depends on the school's goals, like aligning the school's goals. Like, what's more important, right? Your high academic performance, or making sure that every child feels seen, heard, and like they matter. Like, what is governing your school? And when we can get to the root of that and start to clarify those objectives of the leadership of the school, and then see it trickle down, I think that's where it starts.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
You know, I remember when I was in teachers college, we had like a placements, and my first placement was in a gifted classroom. And there were students who were standing at their desks, and there were students that were sitting under their desks, and there were students that were in the corner with a pillow, and there was another student who didn't take their chair off the desk until 10 o'clock in the morning. And this teacher afforded every one of those students to, flourish, to really grow and to learn their way. And it really, really set the table for the way I taught for the rest of my career.
Mm,
And and as a coach, you're right. It's really celebrating the students where they are, and it's offering that opportunity for them to feel comfortable with who they are, where they are, and for them to appreciate the fact that where they are is just fine. In fact, it's great. In fact, I think what coaches do, another benefit of coaching is, we reflect back to our clients what we see, what we observe, with evidence, right? May I make an observation, right? Is like a classic coaching phrase.
yeah.
And how that empowers the clients to say, well, I didn't, that counts. Like that means something. What I just said, the way I said it, the words that I chose, that, that's, so empowering. And I think that's another benefit of what coaching does. It offers the clients uh, insight, a perspective into who they are during that coaching interaction, and they take that with them. And it may not even be part of the goal, of the week, so to speak, but it's part of who they are. There's a dynamic paradigm shift that a client experiences through coaching about self, realization, self awareness, that is, apart from the goals, is so empowering, so validating.
Mm.
And like, if we think about like our lives, and where does that happen on a weekly basis, that you are validated, respected, appreciated, and all based on evidence, not on, hey, you're really a great person, and you know you're really something else. That's not a coaching term. Those aren't coaching words, right? So it's there's talking to you just really made me remember that benefit of coaching isn't only about the path and about the goals, but it's about the self-awareness and the learning of who we really, not who we really are, but who we are.
Yeah, you're reminding me of a book I read recently called Coaching Dialogue. And in it, he says, the coaching conversation is an opportunity for a person to meet themselves for the first time through the coach. And I
Hmm.
just loved that. I thought it was actually poetic because I was like, that's so true. The observations that you're talking about, that mirroring and reflection that we do is an opportunity for someone to raise awareness and recognize something about themselves they didn't know, or they just didn't pay attention to, right? And those observations are powerful in helping people feel seen, heard, and like they matter, which is exactly what you said. How often do we get to have that? Some people never have that opportunity, right? And so this idea of coaching being an emotional conversation, it is for a lot of people because that feeling of being seen is overwhelming. It can be in a good way, overwhelming in the way that you just feel so validated as a human. It's a really beautiful thing. So what's next for you as a coach? Like what are you working on now?
I think about that, like what's next. The practice is going really well. I'm as busy as I want to be with the clientele that I want to be with. It's really, I feel extremely fortunate. If I had more time, I'd want to get into more coaching with parents
Hmm.
of the students that I'm with. I know that they would like that. And I think that there's a point where I'm not going to be cool anymore, Natalie?
Always going to be cool to me, Doug.
You know what I mean? Like eventually these kids are gonna figure out this guy, like really, what the hell? Like, look at this guy. Like, how am I identifying? Like, I can't get over the fact like that I'm in contact with like, one of my students yesterday. He's maybe 15 or 16 years old and he emails me and he says, Doug, is it possible that we meet at another time because I've got a conflict or something? And I email him right back and I go, no problem, buddy. No problem. We can do it at 6. How about 6? And thanks, bro. And I get off. I go, you got to be kidding me, man. Like this kid is saying thanks, bro, to me. Like, so I know there's got to be a limited runway here. Like, I don't know how long this is going to last. So I figured my next, phase of coaching has got to be with the parents because the kids are going to like peel off at some point.
No way. You're the cool guy they all want to know and connect to, for sure.
That's what I'm figuring. But if I had that, and but in seriousness or more seriousness or being more realistic, the summer's quiet down, in my business, right? Like they're going to camp, they're traveling, they're with their families, they're on vacations. And so I probably goes down to like 50% of my practice is like stops for the summer, which offers me the opportunity of doing like parent groups maybe or something like that. So I think I need to get work with my coach to becoming more better planning for that for next summer. Like
Mm.
get that thing nailed down, in the next few months to be ready for that, to be marketing it, sometime in March and April and offering it in July and August.
So when you say parent coach the parent, what's the objective for you, or what does it look like to coach a parent versus just to coach a person?
That's a great question. Well, there's parents who feel um, not sure what the best way to explain this is that they feel um, they're missing something. They're missing something. They're maybe not. What are they missing in their ability to support their kids through the challenges that they face?
Mm.
And having a better understanding and having some more insight into those challenges and how can they better or continue to or enhance the way that they're supporting their kids. And so there's a relationship there that they want to improve upon or a better sense of empathy, better insight into those challenges that their kids are facing. And so facilitating those kind of opportunities either with just a parent or with a groups of parents and you know straight up, Natalie, like the model that you pulled together for like the last course that I took with you really was so well like organized. Like, there we were in a cohort of coaches that were like, getting taking like the next level up, in our coaching journey. But just the format of the program I thought was exceptional. And it would be great for me to be able to offer something to like that for parents.
Mm. Yeah, the advanced skills, that was fun. Actually, you had a great group there. Yeah, I mean, group coaching, team coaching, these are things that are super popular right now. They're approaches that are being looked at closely. The ICF came up with some group and team core competencies. I don't know if
Hmm.
you've had a chance to look at those, but it is like group coaching presents such an opportunity for people to learn from each other, right?
Right.
To share those experiences, to
Yeah.
not feel alone, and you as the coach facilitating that conversation using a framework so you keep that directional momentum building conversation in place, but you're doing it with a group. I think that's fantastic, for especially for a community of parents who share a common challenge, right?
Exactly.
Interesting. So your alumni, you've been in two of our programs, or maybe, the original certification and then the advanced skills. So what would you like to share with anyone who might be considering becoming a coach? What would be the most important thing you tell them about coaching?
Well, you know, I'll tell you what I would say about coaching, and that is that it's a term that is really loosely used out there. There's a lot of people saying that they're coaches, right? Without any training. And I'm not sure what they're doing, to be honest with you. I'm not sure what they're doing. So, but what I could say about being like a coach, learning how to be a coach, is really a strategic opportunity, being empowered with the strategies to be able to take others to where they want to go in a very strategic way that is so effective.
Mm,
Right? Like anything, I think like frameworks are really, really important. I mean, I think that, following the steps, the models that we've been empowered with is like, and, following the ICF guidelines, that are so like well like defined, really is the formula for success for the coach. And how do you gauge success for the coach is really how your client like leaves you, and how your client feels about the efficacy of the coaching session, and their growth like over time. I mean, I really can't say enough about like the coaching lessons that I've learned like through your program. I really can't. It's given me, the template to support others.
mm. Yeah, the strategies are often referred to as soft skills. And yet, I think, I don't know what soft even means. I think it's really about the strategies that we may know instinctively but forget or don't use, like how to listen or observation versus opinion and judgment. These are little nuances that make a huge difference in how we communicate and how people feel around us, right? Because that safety of that space is what makes coaching, right? The safety of the space that you create as the coach by not bringing in judgment and opinion and advice and all the things that consultants or advisors typically do. It's a different space for that reason. People get to pause and feel like they can twirl ideas and tap into their inner voice and not feel judged, which
And not feel judged.
yeah, that's a big piece. So if you were to say something about what makes Canada Coach different, I don't know how much you know about other organizations, but what would you want to tell people about our community?
It's not hard. I don't have to know about anybody else. I don't think it's really relevant, to be straight. I think what's relevant is what Canada Coach like offers. First of all, like you say, I'm an alumni of two different sessions. I've had an opportunity to interact with a wide range of individuals from a host of different backgrounds and life experiences that have really enriched my life.
Hmm.
Being in that learning environment with others who bring like their life experiences and their perspectives on the learning, because the program that you provide offers us, the students, an opportunity to interact and to share, our perspectives on our learnings and on our approaches. So it's really an enriching, growing experience, like in many ways. Also, I found like the program involved or included practical as well as academic um, opportunities, for knowledge, for growth. So it was there's the actual, nuts and bolts of coaching, which is taught, but it was also like the amount of like of articles that like we were exposed to, and like the breadth of information out there that you brought to our each week, which was like really enlightening and offering us not only the program's perspective on coaching, but others as well.
Mm.
you know which it was almost like a humbling experience, like you being humble, saying, hey, I'm not the only game in town, I'm not the only like authority on this subject, follow my way. But bringing into the experience articles and of others was really very empowering. And then again, the practical, like we did a lot of coaching, a lot of interactions, and a lot of very meaningful sessions. So, and on the like under the coaching umbrella. So I just found it like a really well balanced program that took us from ground zero, where we were like, honestly, when I got into coaching, I honestly didn't know what I was getting into. I honestly did not know what I was getting into. I got into coaching because there was an organization that I wanted to do some volunteer work that worked with wayward youth, and they only took on coaches to do that job. And so I looked into coaching.
Mm.
Within hours of being like with you, you know it's just such a comprehensive, well balanced, empowering program.
I remember when we used to do those 3 days on site. On the third day, people were leaving cross-eyed. There was so much information.
It was so much information, but it was so well, like the wealth of information was fantastic. The binder that we leave with is like forever, like a reference. And also, not only that, but you're also like a reference, like the CCA is like always there. There's always like an opportunity, like to circle back and have that access. So it really is. We are released out there, but with like a connection.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I appreciate you saying that, because I really like the part about bringing in other ideas and paradigms so that each student can, work through what it is that they want to create as a coach. I think everybody has an opportunity to develop their own signature
Right.
coaches. And so to do that, you need to see what other ideas and research and strategies are out there. I've created something that I believe is powerful based on the research I've done and the reading I've done and the practice that I've done, and it's sort of treating it like a laboratory, right? All this reading and all of these strategies and putting them in to the laboratory to see how do they work, and do I like the way they, the impact they have, and what's the client thinking. And so all of that has been put together with thought. And so reading about competitive ideas is important in developing your own ideas, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. Well, I just want to say it's been such a pleasure to connect with you and, to hear about what you're doing. And I know for sure that the work you're doing is having a huge impact on these kids and families, and they're lucky to have you. And we're lucky to have you in our community. So,
Thanks, Natalie. It's been a great ride. It's been great being able, to have this opportunity of always being in touch, being connected to the CCA, and it's been a pleasure being here today. So thanks for having me.
thanks, Doug. We'll be in touch for sure. I'm going to be reaching out probably for some writing coaching. How's that?
I'm here.
Okay, good.